Hey y'all, come on in. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing the second of the two roses that I said in the hopefully salvation video from my fur-lined moccasins. That didn't go so well when I started trying out my new stitching machine. So what we've decided to do, or what I've decided to do, is I was able to cut them down to a smaller size. And if you haven't seen those videos, I'm gonna encourage you to oh, excuse me. Encourage you to see what happened. What I've done, I've gone ahead and I've pre-wet this piece that I haven't tooled yet. I've already used the tracing film that I've shown in another video, and I've got the pattern traced onto here. But like, I've already done one of them just for the sake of time. And here's how it turned out. But I thought y'all might enjoy actually watching how I cut them out and what I do. So let's get the swivel knife out. I have to raise you guys up a little bit. I'm going to try to work around you is what I'm going to try to do, so you can actually see and my hands won't be in the way. You can actually see what I'm doing. But I'm trying to get a position that will work for you. Let's see how this does if I'm working around you. I'll get that light. Do something with it so I don't have that glare off my tooling block. I don't know how that's going to work either. Let's see how this will work. There's just not a whole lot of ways that I can. I'm using my iPad. I don't have a camera yet, so I'm using my iPad to tape these with. There, how's that? Can you see okay? Looks like it. I said I'm going to have to be reaching around you, but I want y'all to be able to see how I actually do it. I've got a piece of leather that I've also showed in another video of how to sharpen my swivel knife. It's just a jeweler's rouge. And you rub it on your leather. And then what this does is it helps the blade just slide through the leather. And you want to just drag it along there real lightly. And it puts a real thin coating on that blade. And I'll show you how I judge when it's time to put more on. But anyway, you want to start with your most prominent feature of your pattern. Let me get one of my modeling spoons out that's got a tip on its second point to where I'm wanting to. But you see this line right here? This can be your most prominent feature right here. So that'll be my first cut. You always want to do your prominent feature first. It'll be in there good enough, I think so. Now this thinner leather, you don't have to apply as much down pressure as you do on, say, your thicker pieces of leather, like your belt grades, things of that nature. Because these knives, if they're sharpened correctly, they will cut through this thin stuff. You see how I swiveled the knife instead of turning it. Now sometimes I will pick it up and rotate my project, but you want to try to avoid that as much as possible, because you'll get stop and start marks. And it's kind of hard for me to tell where I'm at because I'm trying to get this where you guys can see it. I'm kind of having to look over your shoulder, if you don't mind. Actually, this leather may be still a bit too wet. When I initially wet a project to start tooling, I'll wet it down front and back. Now you see me lifting that blade, but that's only to be able to relocate my mark, since you guys are right in front of me. Now you see where we're going to stop down here. And you'll notice that I do not connect these two. Do not ever connect two of your cuts. Always leave a little bit there. Because if you connect both of them, this point right here is going to want to start separating from the other parts of the leather. Because remember, you're cutting through these first layers. You're actually slicing them open. And they'll start to want to peel up on you. Let's see, where is our next prominent mark? It'll be this one right here. And you start with your outermost. Your outermost cut, and you tool it the same way. The reason for that is that's what allows you to achieve your three-dimensional appearance when you go to tool it. Now I can tell I need to put some more rouge on that blade because I can feel it dragging. So I'll pass it over the rouge a couple more times. Just put another coating on the blade. you're ready to go again. Now we'll come in here. We'll get this one next. If you've got the correct edge on your knife, then it should just very lightly just glide through the leather. You shouldn't feel much of any drag at all on it. If you do, then you're probably going to need to put a new edge on it. Usually it'll start leaving little marks on it, on the leather where it's been jerking instead of sliding. And my wife is taking a nap in the background. Let me wake her up. Judy, Judy, Judy. Doing a video, you're snoring.
I was snoring?
You're snoring.
Sorry.
Go lay down. Go back on the bed and lay down for a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. She's tired. She's going to go back on the bed and lay down for a little bit. And where is our next prominent line? Looks like it's going to be this one right here. And like I said, you can keep your pattern in your pencil or your pattern in your picture right there by you so you can reference. Another little coating on the blade. Sorry if I'm not talking too much. I'm doing to show more than. I'll bring that one in just a little bit closer. But if you're changing thicknesses of leather, what I encourage you to do is just get a cutoff piece. Like if you're going to make a belt or something like that, then if you have any extra that you're going to cut off, then don't ever throw this stuff out, folks. Keep it. Unless it's just, you know, dinky small. But practice on it. When you're putting your pattern on there, you can, if you're using that tracing film, then you can, it acts kind of like a carbon paper, if any of you remember what that was. But what I do, so I'll get a good impression from my tracing film. I'll usually just wet the leather. As I stated before, if it's wet and it's not sealed, then everything that touches it's going to stay there. And we'll come back now, we'll finish that one. And I don't necessarily worry about trying to follow these lines exactly. And you're not going to be. Remember, this is by hand, this is not a machine. So you're not going to be able to achieve a repeatable perfection like a machine can do. But that's what makes it unique, one of a kind. Even though these two are from the same pattern, even they are not going to be identical. You just can't do it. We'll come in and get the center of it now. But if you look at leaves and flowers and stuff like that in nature, even two leaves from the same tree are not going to be identical. There's going to be some difference in them. Okay, it's getting in a little bit tight quarters, so I want to make sure I've got plenty of rouge on my blades. It'll smooth, so it'll slide smooth. Like I said, I'm moving this quite a bit so I can not only see my line, but I can keep it in front of you. I don't know how much of this y'all want to actually see, because it's going to make quite a lengthy video. Tell you what, let me get it tooled. I'll show you how to do the rows. And I'll get it tooled on this video, the rows and the stem part of it. And I'll make another short one there when I do the accent, like I did on the other. I'll show you the different tools that I used on the leaves to get these impressions. But in order to the leaves and stems that are on rose bushes they're kind of prickly. But why don't I do that? Let me get the, I'll show you how I do the rose, and then I'll get the rest of it tooled out. And then I'll get ready to do the accent part of it. How would that be? That way these videos are not going to be forever long. I don't want my videos to wind up being hour and a half long. I don't think it'd be that easy for you guys to hang on for that long. So let me do a couple of them here. And when I finish, but see again, this part right here is going to be your most prominent part. So I want everything else to go behind it. It's still a little bit wet. And then I'll come back in. I angle my beveler right here where I started. That way that corner is not going to dig in too much, and I just very lightly hit it so I can smooth out the marks. And you want your beveler to kind of bounce in here off the material. That way you can get everything consistent. Now you're still going to get some marks, don't get me wrong. But I personally like to try to limit them as much as possible. And I've got a smaller beveler here. I just call them a spoon, or I just call them a shoe spoon. Kind of what it reminds me of, so that's what I put these smaller areas. I'll use it now. And I'll come around the corners. That way I don't have a lot of marks from the other beveler to iron out. There's all sorts of these different tools. And I'll come back in. Can you not see it? Hopefully you can. It's still a little bit wet. I try to get it, I like it to where it's damp. I mean, you can feel it when you touch it. But I may let that dry out a little bit. So, but you can see out here where it's starting to dry, but then it's starting to get darker in here where I've wetted it. When I tool it, I want it to be this color out here. That's when it does the best. Otherwise, it's too soft. And that's the reason why I'm getting these bevel marks in it right here. Let me give that a little bit of time to dry. It's going to take a few minutes. We're incredibly humid today. We're supposed to get some more rain where we live here in Texas. But that's what we're trying to achieve right there. You can see where I started with this one. This is where I'm working on right here. Then I'll move into here. Then I'll get this one, and I'll just keep stepping my way in. That way when you get into the center, this is your most prominent feature. Everything else, you can see how this now lays behind this part. That's what we're trying to get. So, hope that helps. And let me get this beveled out. Or get it tooled, and then I'll bring you back. I think some of you would like to enjoy seeing how I got these accent features in here. So let me do that, and that way these videos aren't going to be so dang long. Alrighty, with that, Judy and I like to say, don't be mean, folks. If you're not willing to treat Jesus that way, then let's not treat each other that way. We're here to have fun and hopefully learn how to make some stuff. So with that, we'll see you on the next one, and adios.